Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about what's 20% of 1800. Doordash driver got a big order and had dreams of receiving a really generous tip, but then reality set in. So whether you're a gig worker working on Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub, we are a firm believer of no tip, no trip. And especially in the catering industry and everything else, if you don't put a tip prior, we're probably not going to accept it. And sometimes people put in really large orders and not tip the 20%. As one can argue that 20% of 1800 would be a much larger tip than normal, it is sometimes disheartening to see that it's not as much. So with that said, we are talking about everything that is being said in this article, how it actually is for Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers and customers, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. DoorDashing can be a great way to earn some extra cash, especially when you get a big order and a generous tip. When TikToker, at most Side Hustles 2, got a huge catering order, she was hoping for a corresponding tip, but was disappointed. I'm going to leave her TikTok as well as her profile in the description so you can develop your own opinions on the subject.
Just wanted to show you guys what I've been doing for the past 15-20 minutes. This is my car. This is my car. This is $1,800 worth of Panera. Does anybody want to guess how much my tip's going to be? I don't deserve this tip. The people at Panera deserve this tip. But let's see what happens. Here we go.
Okay, well, Panera specifically, depending on how the customer ordered, whether it was direct with Panera or otherwise, a lot of the times those orders can be very large and the customer just doesn't tip at all. Panera's actually earned a reputation for withholding tips. Again, depending on how the customer decides to order, but in reality, a lot of the times those larger orders on DoorDash specifically don't really pay out as much. I'll tell you what though, on EasyCater, if it was an $1,800 worth of Panera at all, you would be guaranteed at least $100 in gratuity. So that should be a thing in itself. She then cuts away to deliver the order. It is important to note that in addition to just dropping the food off, she actually sets it up in office for them. Oh, that's definitely a catering order. That is definitely a large order that requires setup.
You know, I had these great dreams of it being $1,800. I set it all up. Took me half an hour to bring it in, set it up. Probably more than half an hour. Well, about a half an hour. I had these big dreams. I'm like, oh yeah, 20%. What's 20% of 1,800?
That would be $360, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see that.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what happened to the audio here, but this was filmed a long time ago, and this is probably why I didn't finish editing this video. Anyway, it ended up being $50.
Okay, but to be fair though, that is a lot more than what I was expecting from a TikTok that ended up in an article. Like, I know that a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, the tip should have been higher. And you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm not even gonna fault you for that. But honestly, as somebody who reads these articles all the time, I'm thinking like, this is gonna be like nothing. And it's gonna break my heart in pieces. Like, it's gonna be like $10. $50 for the amount of work she did. It's not great, obviously, but it's solid. to be honest. Would you have made that much money on a DoorDash order otherwise? Let's say you decided to decline it and take other DoorDash orders. Would you have made the same amount? Most likely, probably not. If it was an EasyCater order that went through DoorDash, that means you should have been paid more, realistically. But if it's not the case, then it's just a DoorDash order and you got paid 50 bucks. Or it's a Panera order and you actually got paid more than you would have because they would have stolen half the tip. Wow, that is terrible. I didn't even know that DoorDashers had to set up larger orders like that. They should get a decent tip for all that extra work. Yeah, they should, but in reality, you're expecting the wrong people to do the right thing. And a lot of times, these companies in which you're setting it up for have a policy. You can't tip more than a certain amount, period. Or some companies, like, say you can't tip your drivers at all. I call them scum, but apparently that's not right to say to their face. Now let's see what the people in the comments thought about this. This person thought there should be an automatic tip assigned. I feel if orders are above a certain amount, there should be an automatic tip assigned to it. For Easy Cater orders, there absolutely is. For DoorDash or for Panera, that's not the case at all. It really depends on how the customer ordered, and that's a big part of that. DoorDash gets a lot of orders in various different ways. It's not always just somebody hopping on DoorDash and putting in an order. Sometimes they order through Panera and then they outsource it to DoorDash. Sometimes the customer actually ordered Panera through Easy Cater and Easy Cater sent it to DoorDash. But if that's the case, that means there's definitely tips being stolen, so keep an eye out for that. Either way, it's not right. Here's somebody who would have just dropped the food at the door. Set up, I would have just dropped it at the front. Yet, here's the reality. For catering orders, unless the customer specifically says no, you have to set it up. Like, it's set up the trays, put it out, line them up, and make sure that it's all buffet style, etc. Or, like, set up the individual meals up in categories or whatever that looks like. Not that you just drop it off. This is why I say catering and food delivery are two different worlds. Like, the payout's bigger, but there's a little bit extra work. And this person thinks gig workers are entitled to higher tips. As gig workers, we are entitled to high tips. It's one of the main reasons we chose not to have a boss, so we can exclusively work for high tips only. In the gig economy specifically, tips are treated like bids. I don't feel entitled's really the greatest term for this because I feel like that could be misconstrued in too many ways. But tips are treated as bids. If you want your order to be accepted quickly and done effectively, you go to the restaurant. You make sure you take care of your driver or whoever's serving you. We're not employees. We're independent contractors. If you don't want to tip your driver, you're just going to wait a few hours for your food. And I love how people in the comments section will pretend as if they don't, but in reality, you're going to wait a few hours. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. The reality of this is that not all customers are going to tip the way they should. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm glad to see that she got tip that was better than a normal food delivery order, but I'm not entirely surprised that this order was less than the standard for its price point. And that's with Easy Cater, that's with DoorDash, that's with UberEats, that's with all the platforms. Even though 20% is like what you should have received, a lot of the times a catering order like that, the minimum you should be receiving is 100 in tip, not base pay, tip. So that's also a vital reason to why I am a firm believer of removing your dependence from DoorDash, because who knows if you actually got the full tip. From Panera specifically, they actually withhold tips depending on if they order directly with them. If it's Easy Cater and then it went to DoorDash, there is definitely withholding of tips. And it's so important to make sure you're diversifying your gig portfolio to make sure you're not super dependent on DoorDash like that. And you're not willing to work with customers who are willing to tip you less than what you deserve. And the best way to diversify your gig portfolio and develop an exit strategy is through the Driven Wyld Discord server. The Driven Wyld Discord community is exclusive for gig workers looking to expand their knowledge and expertise in their self-employment and entrepreneurial journeys. I partnered with high-level professionals to bring you some of the most exclusive benefits based on your personal needs as a gig worker. Exclusive professional opportunities and gig postings, more live streams with high-level professionals, educational systems designed to help you build your own dispatch company, as well as other scalable opportunities. Our first class for that, to build your own dispatch company and to build your own gig company, is kicking off December 4th. And we're excited to show you exactly how you could start building from literally zero to to a 6-figure business with just 10 merchants. And whether you're a gig worker looking for more opportunities to earn or looking for an exit strategy because the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and not the goal, and you would like to see something with more growth and scalable opportunity, there is something here for you. Check the link in the description and get started with making the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. Also, tickets to both packages are going to be in the description. Whether you just want the front to back course or whether you want a more personalized approach, both of those packages are in there. Feel free to join us and we can help you make the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.